Hey Said, good. How are you? Thank you for the invite.
Thank you so much for joining the call. And yes, how have you been? How was your, Cyber Monday, Black Friday? And can you start with the introduction of yourself and then we can move forward?
Yes, so for everyone who are new and kind of never seen my feeds in LinkedIn or any other platforms, my name is Ruben. I'm an e-commerce entrepreneur and strategist, and currently I'm serving as a CEO at the PAS, Professional Amazon Services.
So, Ruben, how did you actually came across the Amazon Marketplace and, where did you get started here?
Yeah, Amazon Marketplace. I believe my first, full length interaction started somewhere in 2016. Although my first Amazon account I've opened even earlier than that, somewhere in 2012 and 13. My introduction was Amazon and getting involved into that side of the e-commerce because I started early on with an eBay. Was starting with what is more commonly known right now as an Amazon Accelerator. Back then was more of a wholesaler, and my friend and future partner was already doing it, so he introduced me to Amazon much further into the details as I knew before. Product hunting and creating listings and adding and all of that, understanding how the pages operate and bestsellers ranking, all of that have started somewhere on the 2016 year, and it's kind of evolved with the years.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. So, but you have seen the change that has happened since the COVID hit, and after COVID and before COVID, Amazon has kind of shifted its pace as well. Previously, it was it used to be what I would like to call is the golden era of Amazon, where like I said before, we could have three products and all of the people would be happy with the performance, and now even the one person cannot make it up. So, how do you see the Amazon growing in 2024?
Yeah, and it's an interesting point, and also like most people actually know that transition before and after COVID, but in fact there were multiple transition of the Amazon and way operated, even considering all the updates that started happening within Amazon and. Everybody know the review manipulation time. Everybody know the pages manipulation time and keywords. So it is definitely interesting transition from year. And obviously, the COVID made a big impact in terms of not the platform itself, but the mindset of the consumer who flocked the Amazon and realized the convenience of the Amazon even better than it was before. So the 2024 and Amazon state, the way I see it is, and if there was some topic discussion with the certain brands that we would meet with the agency or with an introduction where uh, would not consider doing Amazon. Right now, I completely remove that within the vocabulary or a topic of a discussion because I think everybody, if you are a brand and you're selling online, Amazon has to be part of your strategy. That's going to be must.
Yes.
And in terms of the product hunting and having one product selling and multiple, I've always been a big believer that instead of focusing on a product itself and branding and creating a brand is going to be a much bigger area to focus, and that would ultimately going to deliver the results. Because many times we can see that the brands who there are thousands of competitors in a similar product, but they're coming with the perspective of a brand and the values they present and they are being winners in the category or matching. So the way I see it, and it did not really change much, focusing on a brand, presenting a value is going to be the most important attributes. And of course, there are certain exceptions and categories we can really discuss, but I think that's the way I see
Yeah,
it.
that actually makes a lot of sense as well. And also, to your point as well, that people who present themselves as a brand and who start only from Amazon are able to compete with big names as well. And this is because when once you create a brand story and once you are able to connect with your consumer in the right manner, that actually pays dividends as well. But there is also one fine line where if a brand gets really big on Amazon, sooner or later they have to shift their focus outwards as well. So yeah.
Oh yeah, no, no, that's an uh, the idea of having very holistic approach when it comes to brand. And another thing that is a common denominator with a lot of successful brands out there, especially talking about U.S. brands, because we know the Chinese brands kind of operate completely in a different
Yep.
categories and they have their own strategies. Is uh, the holistic growth may mean not only the Amazon, but the
Yep.
D2C, the social, your retail
Yes.
presence. We personally have our original growth from 2021 was based on the fact that when I just was fresh off out of a distribution, I was director of a marketplaces, was based on that simple idea that, hey, I'm working with the brands that are, huge companies and their products being sold on Amazon by third party sellers and they have no idea
Yep.
about it. There is such a huge exposure. And I was like, hey, we can actually help these brands to grow and take all that into their revenue streams. So that was just another channel. As again, holistic approach. Their website works, their wholesale retail works, their Amazon didn't because they didn't put an effort, they didn't have a people. So yes, if you are launching on Amazon, you always. I think it's going to be hard to imagine a brand launching Amazon without having a presence outside of the Amazon as a website, because a lot of people may look into an Amazon, but also search your social media, and it depends, categories how deep that goes. So yes, I do 100% agree with that. Having a holistic approach when launching a new brand, it's a way to go. And of course, that depends a lot of the resources, financial capabilities. You can do one and then grow, or but yeah, the eventual goal will be to be able to dominate as many marketplace D2C possible.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And also, we personally we have our travel product, and what happens usually is that someone buys that travel product and leaves a good review there. Or what happened with us was CNBC had an article about us, and what happened was we saw 5x growth in our Amazon sales, and we were sitting there like how did we get it, like because everything else was fine. It was just we saw a sudden growth in branded terms. And when we went into TikTok and saw that a lot of people were actually talking about our product, and they were referencing to the article, and then we were like, oh, that means we are missing out actually on TikTok, and we are missing out a big opportunity there. So yeah, that is very important to have a whole to cover all the, I think, marketplaces and all the things, where if you have a Amazon product, obviously people are going to use it and they are going to talk about it, be it TikTok, be it other social. So yeah, I think that is going to be more important, especially with Amazon allowing us to do Snapchat, and also the I think it's Meta, where they are allowing us to just buy
Yeah.
directly. So
Yes.
that is going to, I think, they're using the word live commerce, and they are also using the social commerce words for these things. So what's your thought on that?
Well, I was present in the unboxing, which some of the stuff was revealed. Well, the earlier one was the Pinterest, and we had the Meta, and then we had the Snap. And that's another big shift that I talk to the brands is Amazon is dominating, and Amazon is going to dominate even further. The way I see that transition is, and not only that, but also the marketing cloud been widely discussed, and more data attributes that Amazon is sharing. That was one of the biggest point that the brands were like, "Hey, I don't want to go to Amazon because I don't get my first
Yep.
data." So now you can get that data a lot, and Amazon heard the customer, and Amazon understood why the customers may still have doubts not going into the Amazon and releasing it. So the combination of Amazon accessing the social media platforms directly, and then having the opportunity to offer your products directly, advertising Pinterest. A lot of people may not even know that when they do standard sponsor product advertising, their products are being viewed on Pinterest, because there is no ways within the Amazon console to pick. You have to actually contact the support to either activate or deactivate. But just for curiosity, do any keyword search on Pinterest, and you'll see product popping up right away. And so I think that's another layer of a great opportunity of brands to explore. That's one. And also Amazon making another statement that we are working towards that complete domination of the e-commerce space. And if you are an e-commerce brand or not, you need to consider the Amazon. You need to consider giving an Amazon a chance, and it's just becoming a must channel for many many
Yeah,
brands.
that makes a lot of sense. And also, to your point again, if you search on Pinterest, if you will see your product popping up. So going forward, is that the same strategy that is going to play out on Snapchat and on Instagram as well, or is it going to be a different one? Because obviously you will be allowed to advertise, on Meta through Amazon, right?
Yeah, I am not yet sure the structure of it. I don't think I've heard any news about that, the
Yeah.
exact structure. But I do think, like my original thoughts when I announced about the Pinterest pretty much when the first news came out, was like an earlier this year. And then there was no information about it until on the unbox they said, "Hey, it's live already, so you don't have to structure anything; it just goes up there." So it will be very interesting to see how those will play out for two other marketplaces. Well, for the uh, Meta, we already know it's an opportunity to check out right away, but the advertising portion, how that will be proceeded, it is interesting. For example, my own experience with the Walmart marketplace is that they do their own social media advertising and they work directly with brands. And one of the companies that we work with, Walmart works directly. So we have account executive within the category, as we're very large seller in the category, and they promote our products on social media. We don't really do anything; they just direct the traffic. So how that will work on Amazon, it will be very interesting to see. Do we will sellers get a specific console to pick, or it will be automatically pushed to those platforms? That's something for us to see.
Yeah, I was wondering that as well. So that was actually my question that, somebody asked me and I thought, I should ask, you. So yeah, thanks for answering that. And also, I do have a very different question now. And that is, how did you come up with the pass? Because it's a really great name.
That's well. First of all, thank you for the compliment. And yeah, that this the PAS was actually a program that I developed, sort of, while working for an
Okay.
organization. And the plan was into uh, provide those services within the organization to the brands that we were working with, and that just that's how it came up as a professional Amazon services, because we know that what these
Yeah.
customers are lacking from professional Amazon services. So I just kind of keep saying when I was doing my meetings with the the heads of different departments, introducing the idea, and when it's got approved under the professional Amazon services. But when I left the organization, I kind of owned the
Yeah.
rights to the name, so I took it with me and started the
Awesome,
company.
awesome. Yeah, because selecting the name is very important. And I actually, whenever I see PAS, I used to wonder, what is the, actually acronym of it. And it's a really nice, yeah. It's actually the best one I've heard so far.
Unfortunately, we couldn't get
It's the best one.
we couldn't pay for it, but that's why we had to add the agency, which it's not really my
Yeah,
favorite part of the company, because we operate more as a remote e-commerce
yeah.
department, and that's the business idea more than being just a marketing agency or advertising agency. But still, yeah, that's kind of what the meanings come
Yeah,
from.
makes a lot of sense. So now, since we are entering the 2024, and the people are still because with the there has been a certain shift in the economics as well. Start of 2023, we saw a lot of brands going under, over, and stuff like that. A lot of brands merged as well. So, do you think that it Amazon is good for 2024 as well?
Oh, yeah, I'm a big believer, and in a financial lingo terms, I'm very bullish into Amazon in 2024. Based on the some of the topics we've already discussed, there is my metric looking into an Amazon and to help understand why do I believe in that is one big number when it comes to reporting the Amazon Prime members. That's the only indication to me. Amazon shows Prime member number
Yep.
grows. You can guarantee that Amazon is going to be worth in 2024, 2025, 2026, and so on. And I think there is so many areas into when they can still develop that is underdeveloped. How surprising that may sound, that's going to make the app, Amazon FBA worth even more. Yes, they are increasing challenges in many areas. We just received the new the FBA cost increase and
Yep.
decrease, because it's not only increase but decrease in some of the stages. Amazon claims the reasons behind it. It's to reward the good sellers and kind of not to punish but get more out of the bad sellers. Understandably so, which hopefully will create better brands and better companies. But meantime, it can pose a challenge for a smaller branch. So even with all that consideration, I think the Amazon is still worth in 2024. Another analogy that I do is when you created, let's say, a Coca-Cola flavored
Yep.
product. You have everything, you manufacture, it tastes like a Coca-Cola. It's great. It's better maybe than a Coca-Cola. And you take that and you go and knock on a distributor door, knock on everybody's door and ask them to take that Coca-Cola and put it, Ruben's
Yeah.
Cola, put it right next to the Coca-Cola. Who's gonna take and do that? Nobody. I
Yeah.
doubt it. But in Amazon, you have an opportunity to take your product and put right next to the Coke
Yeah.
products,
Yeah. That's a really
uh,
good one.
and
Yeah.
get there.
That's
Yeah, and get a fair chance. And get a chance. It's going to be up to your product. Yeah, it's going to be extremely high cost per click, but you're not going to get that chance in any other industry, in any other category. So having that opportunity, I think it's huge, and that's what Amazon presents.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because Amazon does have this where a lot of small sellers have turned into really multi-millionaires in matter of months. Like I have personally seen that their one product starts doing well, and they have competition in from really big sellers, and some really big marketplace ones, and then they are still able to compete because of their product quality, and Amazon favors them. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense as well. But switching gears into the categories, because we have seen a lot of issues with gating and ungating stuff as well. So how do you see categories going into 2024 within Amazon? Like, which ones should a new person be looking for or looking into?
Yeah, uh, I can only share my personal uh, categories that I
Yep.
do believe, and I can kind of justify my personal opinion. This is not an
Yeah.
advice by any means for anybody to look into or invest, and I'm far away from being that side of an
Yeah, yeah, I understand.
advices.
I understand. Yeah.
There are many of others out there, but I do always I liked, and I do I still do the categories, the kitchen. It's always been in very good. And I personally launched multiple brands in the category, both my being my own and for other brands as well. The reason being, there's always innovative in something in the kitchen. New products come out, and people look a new gadget. It's one of the biggest thing that it's kind of constantly changing. The two other categories are kids and children. Toys. I really love toys, and I really like children. Accessories. By it can be so many things out there, and I know the children can be a little bit difficult with the
Yep.
certification, so you have to do very good diligence to make sure you have everything covered. And thankfully, a lot of manufacturers provide a lot of good value to that. But the reason I think, and I'm a father of two,
Yep.
the 12 and then 3, very nice
Yeah.
gap and different interests. But one thing is constant: you always buy new
Yeah.
things for these guys. It's constantly something new. If it's a toy, you change a toy. If it's a new accessory,
Yeah.
you change an accessory. There's something. something colorful. And if you bring that with the value, it's always going to work because parents always buy. It's just one of the things that
yeah,
parents do for their kids. They always buy stuff. So, and then pretty much one of the categories that, although you look into the budget, but you would tend to spend more on kids. So that's always plays around. And thankfully, the innovation never slips, and there are always new and interesting stuff coming. So being on the top of it and seeing what's new out there, or adding an additional benefit to already existing products, is those are the main two or three categories that I would like: kitchen, kids toys, and then kids accessories in
yeah.
general.
But I'm gonna stop you there and ask, why kitchen? Like, I understand, like, I have seen, some really good products out of the kitchen category, and obviously we also know, some people who are doing really really great things in kitchen as well. But yeah, why is kitchen such a big category? I'm totally asking from an audience perspective, like, uh, because moms like to buy new things, because yeah, I'm not particularly interested in, kitchen products, but yeah, I do understand if, there is a new thing and, you want to buy it. But yeah.
All you need to do, you go in the kitchen and
Yeah,
open drawers. And that's the answer. You will see stuff that you buy that you never end up using, or you
yeah,
use once. Not on the kitchen, there's a pantry right
yeah,
next to it. It's full of accessories and tools and things that you use once in a month. But and then another big thing, the kitchen, why it's constantly
yeah,
innovating. You have something to hold something with. Next day comes with the same thing with a reiterated
yeah,
better version, and then next day it comes with an additional accessory to it, and that makes it easier to do one thing another. So yeah,
yeah.
that's the kind of a main reasons. First,
In Pakistan, we have a
people constantly.
running joke that, we should launch garlic press, because garlic press was, I think it was the biggest product of 2020. So yeah, everyone just talks about garlic press.
And of course, country wise, it changes from based on the
Yeah.
needs. But yeah, there is a common theme across
Yeah,
that
I have
works.
worked in children's category, a bit, and yeah, it sells a lot, especially if you have a good quality product. The parents are love to buy stuff like that, and yeah, yeah, these are the actually categories that I also saw. Like, what I have done is I have a Alibaba account, and I keep checking it. It's actually my favorite pastime. So instead of TikTok or other things, I scroll Alibaba.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a good point. One thing also to consider: things that go on the Alibaba, it's
Yeah,
already been seen and most
yeah,
likely already been launched. So, like the two sources will be the Canton show that was not so long ago, basically visiting the expos. I think that will be the. But it's not an easy thing. It's much easier to say than
yep, yeah, yeah.
to do many other restrictions. But yeah, it's a good way to kind of look
Yeah,
for
that
it.
makes a lot of sense. My friend actually went to the Chinese conference that happened a few weeks ago, and he was saying that all the products that they had there, 90% of those, they were already on Amazon, and people were selling it, but the last 10% of it was some really really good innovations that can work for like next 2 or 3 years as well. So yeah, you need to find that
Yeah,
10% or 5% products that nobody is looking at, and then you have to go, and then you have to improve them as well before launching them. So yeah,
yeah, I understand that. That will come with an overall experience understanding the market, because two can see the same product and not see
yeah,
it the same way. One could see an opportunity, the other will say, "Oh, this is not selling on Amazon. There's nothing I
yeah.
can do with this." Uh, so it's very important understanding the market, how the marketplace operates, what you can add, and then see that and then use that. So it's that kind of an eye into
Yeah,
it.
so Ruben, I have yeah, the question that I have personally is that we have seen a lot of aggregators kind of shut down, or uh, kind of merge together and stuff like that, and it has kind of created a very negative impact on the Amazon side. But yeah, how do you see aggregators? Like, personally, I looked into some of the financials of aggregators. I was fortunate enough, I have a friend who worked at aggregator, and he keeps telling me they were doing this and they were doing that, and it seemed like they didn't understand Amazon like Amazon person does. That was my crux of it. How do you see it? Like, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, good question. I thought about it, and I personally had many engagement with a variety of aggregators. As one of the companies I worked for got eventually acquired by Thrasio. So I had personal experiences with the Razor and a few others. So that was an industry that I was much heavily involved back in when it was growing. And yeah, I do have my my thoughts on that. Is not that they didn't understand Amazon. They quite they understood very well, and they reinforce it with more of a data people and corporate people who would kind of work into the structures. At least some of the companies did. What I think is the biggest issue is when the brand is growing and it has a founder that brand was everything for him.
Yeah,
He put his sweat and tears and blood into it and growing. He didn't sleep at nights. Uh, he worked his days and 7 nights and 7 days and crazy and put everything to grow that brand. And then he grew 100,000, 300,000, half a million, million, two
yeah,
million. And then aggregator came in and paid and bought it. It is a lot different when you hand that into a brand manager. Okay, I
yeah,
spoke to many of the brand managers. They're the guys who come to work for any other aggregators. They get paid 9 to 5. They're eager to go out on Friday and have another drink, and
yeah,
not gonna see that brand as that brand owner. I think that's my
yeah,
personal experience. Without a very strict discipline into how to manage those brands, it's going to, you know, and it's hard to have a resources and people on board that are going to be as responsible, as knowledgeable, to be able to manage a portfolio of 5, 6, 7 brands, each producing a couple of $1 million a year, which that's what the aggregator is aiming for. Managing
yeah,
few $1 million a brand when you're not the brand owner, it's not going to be easy, even with
yeah,
all the resources you're going to have. That's my opinion. I think what was the biggest miscalculation is when you buy a brand from a brand owner who grew and then giving it to an account manager to manage and expect the same growth. It's not the same. It's not going to be the same. Never going to be the same. I think. So that's what I think that was one of the biggest reasons. There could be other reasons. There are many comments out there on that topic, but that's how I see it. And again, especially when I had a conversation with brand directors who oversee a portfolio and account managers who oversee accounts, and they're like, okay, yeah, it's interesting. So that's what I believe happened.
yeah. That's kind of interesting because any company that grows under its founders, builds from scratch, is widely successful, as opposed to other things. I was actually reading a few weeks ago. I was reading about, if you remember, there was a thing called Google Plus. So it was basically Google's answer to Facebook. And what they did was, they basically, Google said that if anyone wants if anyone wants a raise, or if anyone wants a bonus, they should integrate Google Plus with their product. So person from Gmail, or person from product owner of Meet, or product owner of anything, they just integrated it. They just integrated it, however they could. And then what ended up happening was, it didn't work out, but it was integrated everywhere. So people who just want their who just want their bonuses, or who just want their stuff, they did it, and then it was nowhere to be seen. It was, I think, they rolled it back in 6 months, or maybe 3 months, I
Yeah,
guess. Yeah, so you're right that aggregators have been, because our account manager or brand manager, he cannot look at the product or feel that kind of pain that a brand owner, or a founder feels. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense as well. So yeah, moving forward, I think, if you can help us with something that that all of us are trying to do, and anyone who works in Amazon tries to have a new product idea, and kind of try to take it to fruition. What are your some tips or tricks that we can use to launch a new product and have it successful going forward in 2024?
yeah. One thing that is crucial, in my opinion, is the full preparation and understanding of what is it required to launch a brand. Uh, it's going to be one of the key metrics, because a lot of times new product launches are completely miscalculated in many levels. And I do not mean the factor of having enough inventory or calculating an FBA fees, which are the must things to do. Having a full readiness into prior to launch is going to be very important. And again, we discussed the categories. I
Yep.
will back on that. But uh, having a brand, having the trademark, if not registered, at least sign up. Your logos, designs, thinking of ahead what your niche is into targeting going to be the product. The launch strategy of how you're going to get that crucial honeymoon period, how you're going to acquire your rankings, where you're going to be in a 3 months, 6 months, and a year from now. Having answers to all of that is going to be key into how you're going to launch and what are going to be requirements. Not having those can be uh, critical, absolutely, to the point that you're going to give up. Why and how is are the questions to answer before you take that journey of launching a new product. There are new products being launched daily in thousands, and success alone, I don't really know the top of my head the percentage, but if you do not do that, if you do not have that preparations prior to launch, you are basically preparing you for it's not going to be successful. That's I think what will be my feedback.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because I think if you are starting Amazon, or if you're starting anything, you should look into 2 year at least, so that you can try it out and have it stable as well. Especially if you talk about other businesses, even I was talking to a restaurant owner, and I was asking him how he got started and stuff like that. He was telling me, when we start a restaurant, we have to be make sure that we have a 3 year strategy in place, and 3 year money in place as well, because that it is going to have 3 year losses. So but if you talk about Amazon, we are at the point where kids are starting it thinking that I'm going to stabilize it after 6 months or 7 months. That is not going to happen. And yesterday I commented somewhere that you should have 3 inventories in place. So if as soon as the one hits Amazon warehouse, second should leave that the Chinese shipping area, and the third one should also start getting prepared. And
Yeah.
that's the only way that you will be able to sustain out there. And like I am telling everyone, and today's news is that our own inventory got we went out of stock for our best selling product.
That's,
Now we have to wait.
that's the worst thing. That's the one thing you don't want to happen, and it comes in answering to the having be prepared to a variety of circumstances. It's going to be a key. And although when you lay it out, you start coming up with an answer, because how are you going to generate that traffic?
Yep.
So you can make sure that the backup inventory is paid and is going to be useful as well. Those are all the answers that you need to have ahead of time prior to launching to not to fail.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So that was all for today's podcast. Thank you so much, Ruben, for giving me the time. I apologize for any derails that happened during the podcast. And do you have any closing remarks?
No, well, first, thank you again for inviting, and no worries. Technical difficulties is part of our nowadays lives. It happens all the time. And I'm glad we had the call. And yeah, for anybody who are looking into launching, as I've already stated, I think 2024 is going to be another great year for an Amazon and e-commerce in general. The trend are going to grow, and there are more buyers are going to flock the marketplaces. And if anybody going to be interested into looking at support into launching a brand or growing or scaling a brand into we'll always be here, and we can find us at pasagency.com, or hit me up on the LinkedIn. I'll be happy to take a look and audit and give a free why not the audit. So yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you very much.